Welcome to Making a Murderer, Rubberducky video channel. Welcome to a brand new week of the Daily MaM Reading, and we're about to start part 76. Page 751. Type of activity, letter received from Manitowoc County Clerk of Courts. Date of activity 04/27/06. Reporting Officer Investigator Mark Weger. On 04/27/06, I, Investigator Weger of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, received a letter from the Manitowoc County Clerk of Courts office. It should be noted I previously had spoken with the Clerk of Courts on 04/25/06. They indicated they had received an anonymous letter and thought it should be brought to my attention. I requested that the Clerk of Courts send a copy of the letter to me. The following is verbatim the letter, which was sent to the Manitowoc County Clerk of Courts. Quote, Dear Sir, Steven Avery never killed Teresa Halbach. She is a patient at Winnebago Mental Health Institute. Unquote. It is signed Carol, and underneath it says, I seen her. A copy of this letter will be included with this report. Investigation continues. Investigator Mark Weger, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 752, Type of Activity, Report of Confidential Laboratory Findings from the Wisconsin State Crime Laboratory. Date of Activity 05/10/06, Reporting Officer, Investigator Mark Weger. On 05/10/06, I, Investigator Mark Weger of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, did receive a report from the Wisconsin State Crime Laboratory. We had sent several items to the crime laboratory for their DNA analysis. The following is a synopsis of the conclusion that was drawn by analyst Sherry L. Culhane. It is the opinion of this analysis to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty that Teresa Halbach is the source of DNA present on the bullet fragment and the interior driver's door handle. Teresa Halbach is eliminated as a potential source of DNA present from the reddish-brown stain on the light switch. It is the opinion of this analysis to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty that Steven Avery is the source of the DNA present from the swabbings of the hood latch. Brendan Dassey is eliminated as a potential contributor to the DNA mixtures of items CJ1 and CJ2. These conclusions are based on statistics derived from the database of unrelated Caucasian, African American, Southeastern Hispanic, Southwestern Hispanic individuals obtained from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. A complete copy of the confidential laboratory findings will be included with this report. Mark Weger, Investigator, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 753, Type of Activity, Receipt of DNA Information from Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department. Date of Activity blank, Reporting Officer, Investigator Mark Weger. I, Investigator Weger, of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, had spoken with Detective Remacher in the middle part of April 2006. My reason for speaking with Detective Remacher was to request his assistance in determining whether they had any DNA samples, including but not limited to buccal swabs and or blood samples in their custody from Steven Avery. It should be noted that on 05/04/06, I did receive a copy of Detective Remacher's report detailing any type of DNA evidence which they have on file. For more information, please see the attached copy of the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department report. Investigation continues. Investigator Mark Weger, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 754. Type of activity, receipt of confidential report of laboratory findings from the Wisconsin State Crime Lab. Date of activity 05/11/06. Reporting Officer Investigator Mark Weger. On 05/11/06, I, Investigator Weger of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, received a report from the Wisconsin State Crime Lab. The results of the test indicated the bullet in item FL was fired from the Marlin rifle in item DD. The bullet in item FK exhibits the same physical class characteristics of the rifle in item DD and could have been fired from that gun or any other with the same class characteristics. It should be noted the Wisconsin State Crime Lab had received this evidence on 11/21/05. Item FL would be one sealed paper bag containing a 22-inch caliber bullet exhibiting 11 remaining of 16 original Landgrove impressions with a right-hand twist. Item FK would be 1 sealed paper bag containing a 22-inch caliber bullet exhibiting 8 remaining of 16 original land groove impressions with a right-hand twist. Item DD would be 1 sealed box containing a 22 long rifle Marlin Linfield 60 rifle, serial number 27323959, manufactured with 16 lands and grooves with right-hand twist. A copy of the lab report will be included with this report. Investigation continues. Investigator Mark Weger, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 755. Type of activity, interview of Brendan Dassey, Sheboygan County Sheriff's Department. Date of activity 05/13/06. Reporting officer, investigator Mark Weger. It should be noted on 05/12/06, Agent Fassbender and I, investigator Mark Weger of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, had received an email from attorney Lynn Kaczynski, who would represent Brendan Dassey. The following is verbatim of the email. Tom, this confirms that you and Investigator Weger may re-interview Brendan Dassey tomorrow at the Sheboygan County Juvenile Detention Center regarding the offenses he is charged with in Manitowoc County, case number 06CF88 and related matters. No consideration is being offered by the state for this additional information at this time. Brendan has personally authorized this interview in discussion with me. The interview may occur without my personal presence, as I have some military duties to attend to on May 13, 2006. As I understand it, the interview will be videotaped at another facility. Mike O'Kelly would be available to brief you prior to your interview. He is authorized to provide you copies of his work product if you believe it would assist you in the interview. The interview may occur without his physical presence if you and Investigator Weger believe it would be better that way as long as it is videotaped. Please discuss with Mike on how you would like to proceed on this. I understand that this interview will eventually be disclosed to Steven Avery's attorneys. I would request that I be notified prior to that occurring and that it not occur until after I have an in-depth discussion with Brendan sometime early next week. Needless to say, this development will not be disclosed to anyone, particularly Avery's relatives, by either O'Kelly or me. I have also requested that Brendan also not disclose it as well. If you have any questions or concerns about the above, please let me know at the mobile number below or by email. This is signed by Lynn Kaczynski. On 05/13/06, Agent Fassbender and I did go to the Sheboygan County Juvenile Detention Center. At approximately 8:46 a.m., the jail staff at Sheboygan County did present Brendan Dassey into an interview room in the investigators portion of the Sheriff's Department. Brendan was then asked if, in fact, he wished to meet with us, which Brendan indicated he did. We did go over with Brendan that his attorney had notified us that he wished to meet with us. He, meaning Brendan, wished to meet with us, and that his attorney okayed it. Brendan agreed with that statement. At that time, Agent Fassbender did read page 756, Brendan his Miranda rights. A copy of that Miranda rights form will be included with this report. Brendan indicated to us that he understood each of his rights and that he was willing to speak with us. It should be noted that Brendan did initial both areas, indicating he understood and was willing to meet with us. It should be noted that Brendan did initial both areas, indicating he understood and was willing to meet with us. He also signed the Miranda form at 8:50 a.m. The signing was witnessed by Agent Fassbender and I, Investigator Weger. The following will be a brief synopsis of the interview. During the interview with Brendan Dassey, he had indicated some differences from his prior interview with us. One of the differences in the interview was that Brendan stated to us that the stabbing of Teresa Halbach did not occur in Steven Avery's bedroom as Brendan had previously told us. Brendan stated that when he stabbed Teresa, that it had occurred in the garage belonging to Steven Avery. Brendan stated that Steven Avery had stabbed Teresa in the chest while he had taken the knife and stabbed Teresa in the stomach area. Brendan also at this time denied cutting Teresa's neck. Brendan also denied cutting off any of Teresa's hair. Brendan also stated to us that Teresa's arms were tied to Steven's bedpost. However, they were tied with rope, not with handcuffs, as he had previously indicated. Brendan stated that her legs were shackled with leg irons to the bottom bedpost. It should also be noted that Brendan informed us that both he and Steven had talked about committing this murder approximately 2 days before they'd actually done this. After reviewing Brendan's statement, it appears as though Brendan's version at the Sheboygan Sheriff Department would match the physical evidence which was collected at the crime scene. The following is a transcribed version of the interview with Brendan Dassey. Interview. Door opens and closes. Fassbender. Yep, okay, Brendan. Just as a refresher, my name is Tom Fassbender and Mark Weger. You remember us from the last couple times we talked to you, right? Brendan. Mm-hmm. Fassbender. Okay, from the signs in here, you can see that this is being audio and video recorded again, okay? Page 757. Brendan. Mm-hmm. Fassbender. We just have to get some things on the record, and you need to tell me if they're true. I was told by your attorney, Mr. Lynn Kaczynski, that you wanted to talk to us. Is that true? Brendan nods yes. Fassbender. You need to talk to us because it's being recorded. If you could, please. Brendan. Yeah. Fassbender. Okay, I was also told that Mr. Kaczynski spoke to you about this. Is that true? Brendan. Yeah. Fassbender. Okay. Mr. Kaczynski also told us that no promises were made to you on behalf of the state. Is that true? Brendan. Yeah. Fassbender. Okay, because obviously you're in custody. We're going to go through the Miranda warning again. You remember that? Brenda. Yeah. Fassbender. Okay. I've got a form here I'm going to use, and I'm going to go through that. If you have any questions, ask me, okay? Brendan. Yeah. Nods yes. Fassbender, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to consult with a lawyer before questioning and to have your lawyer present with you during questioning. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you as a public expense before and during questioning if you so wish. If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop the questioning and to remain silent at any time you wish, and the right to ask for and have a lawyer present at any time you wish, including during questioning. Would you like to read those over? Page 758. Brendan shakes head no. Fassbender, do you understand each of these rights? Brendan, yeah. Fassbender, realizing that you have the rights, are you now willing to answer questions or make a statement? Brendan nods yes. Fassbender, okay. What I'd like you to do for me is, that is, do you understand each of these rights, initial here, that you are willing to make a statement, and then I need your signature there, okay? Brendan signs documents. Weger, I heard you were going to watch a movie last night. What movie did you watch? Fassbender signing documents. Brendan, well, it wasn't a movie. It was wrestling, but I only got to watch 15 minutes of it. Weger, how come? Brendan, because it was 9 o'clock and we got done at 8:45 almost. Weger, oh, okay, pause. Big wrestling fan? Brendan, nods yes. Fassbender, is it All-Star Wrestling? Weger, signed documents. Weger, I don't think there isn't any more All-Star Wrestling. Fassbender, so whatever they call that, professional wrestling? Brendan nods yes. Page 759. Fassbender, yeah, okay, I just want to remind you that again, this is being recorded and audio recorded, and I need you to speak up rather than not if you can. Brendan, okay. Fassbender, okay. And we urge you to, talk to us and tell us, your version again and correct me if I'm wrong, what we told that is you wanted to speak with us just to, talk about some clarifications of earlier statements, some areas where it may have been a little cloudy. Now, Mark and I both know probably some of those areas. We've had obviously an opportunity to look at the evidence, and we're familiar with the evidence in this case. In your last statement, there's some areas that we know that you may want to address, and you're probably going to do that because they don't seem to necessarily add up. Do you understand that? Brendan, uh-huh. Fassbender, okay. Because that's why we're here. Again, I'd like to offer you the opportunity now to tell us about some of those things and clarify some of those areas for us. We may follow up with some questions, but again, we prefer you to just, those areas, the places where you need to finish or clarify. So again, speak up for us because it's being recorded, and go ahead and tell us what it was you wanted to tell us. Brendan, starting with that day. Fassbender, certainly. Well, if there's something that's important prior to that day, that's fine too. But as it relates to the event, Brendan, well, I came home off the bus and we walked into the house and I played PlayStation until 5 o'clock, called my friend and watched TV. Then at 6 o'clock, I got off a phone from Blaine's boss and I told him that Blaine was going trick or treating. And at 7 o'clock, I got a phone call from Steven to see if I wanted to come over to the bonfire. I told him I would, and then while I was getting ready, he called again and seeing when I was, what was taking me so long, and so I went over there. He went to go pick up some stuff around the yard. Then after that, he asked me to come in the house because he wanted to show me something. And he showed me that she was laying on the bed to her hands were roped up to the bed and that her legs were cuffed. And then he told me to have sex with her. And so I did because I thought I was not going to get away from him because he was too strong. So I did what he said. And then after that, he untied her and uncuffed her. And then he brought her outside. Before he went outside, he told me to grab her clothes and shoes. So we went into the garage. And before she went out, before he took her outside, he tied her hands and feet. Page 760. And then was in the garage and he stabbed her and then he told me to, and after that he wanted to make sure she was dead or something, so he shot her 5 times, and while he was doing that I wasn't looking because I can't watch that stuff. So I was standing by the big door in the garage, and then after that he took her outside and we put her on the fire and we used her clothes to clean up some of the blood, and when we put her in the fire and her clothes, we were standing right by the garage to wait for it to go down. So we threw some of that stuff on it after it went down. And then about 9 o'clock, my mom came home and she called Stephen on his cell phone to tell him that I was supposed to be home at 10 o'clock. And she asked Stephen if I had a sweater on. So while we waited for the fire to go down, by the time it did get down, it was probably close to 10 o'clock. So he told me to go home. So I did. And then got in the house and I talked to my mom for a little bit. Then I went to bed. We hear anything else? Brendan, no. We hear, what about the truck? Her truck. Brendan, I never seen it. Shakes head, no. We hear, what do you mean you never seen it? Brendan, I never seen it that day. Shakes head, no. We hear, okay. Why don't we go back to the beginning a little bit, Brendan? Let's just clarify. You got off the bus with your brother? Brendan, uh-huh. We hear, that's Blaine? Brendan, yeah. We hear, okay. And you walk home? Brendan, uh-huh. We hear, okay. And that's about what time? Brendan, 3:45. And then, what do you do when you get home? Okay, let's go ahead and start our review. So we're starting on page 751. It's got a letter here that was anonymously sent to the clerk of courts on 04/25/06. Now, to send something to the clerk of courts revolving a case that you're unrelated to, I just find that curious that this person went to that level to assure that the right people would see this report. Now, I'm not saying that this is true. I'm not trying to lend credibility to it or anything like that. It just bothers me because there isn't enough proof to prove that Teresa Halbach is actually deceased. And there's so much narcotic talk buzzing around the case itself lately because of all the narcotics investigators involved in the investigation itself. In that situation, if narcotics do play a part in this, how do we know that this individual didn't fry their brain and they would possibly be in a mental institute? So I think we shouldn't just brush this by and leave it. This person claims to have seen Teresa Halbach. They're claiming that she is a patient at the Winnebago Mental Health Institute. So I don't know what to make of it, but there it is. Then let's go to 752, and we're talking about the analysis by Sherry Culhane. Now, I don't know how much credence you're going to give to her. I personally don't believe that she did her job anywhere close to what she was supposed to do. I think she's a major reason that we have conflict in the case, as she was the actual lab forensic analyst that performed the 1985 misdiagnosis or misidentification of the hair that sent Steven away for 18 years. So, to her own right, she has mud on her face. So I don't always buy what she's saying. But I think it's interesting, instead of naming that Stephen, in a scientific term, you would think she would say Stephen Avery is a source of the DNA present from the swabbing, and then she would say the number of it. Like here with Brendan Dassey, CJ1, CJ2, because she did not take the swab of the hood latch. That was collected by the investigators back at Calumet and sent to her and told to her that it was a swabbing of the hood latch, but she has no idea what that's a swabbing of. So for her to make this claim, it is in the opinion of this analysis to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty. She has no scientific certainty where that swab actually came from, that it would be Stephen Avery's of the hood latch. Just a point. Now let's go ahead and jump down to 753, where you can see that Mark Weger is asking for an inventory from the Manitowoc Police Department, or County Sheriff Department, I should say, of all DNA evidence that they're storing on their facility or that they have access to at the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department. So I would love to see that report, and we shall do some digging to try to find it at a later date. Also, I find this interesting. So on page 754, receipt of confidential report of laboratory findings from the Wisconsin State Crime Lab. We're talking about May, and it's investigator Mark Weger. And he's talking about, it should be noted that the Wisconsin State Crime Lab had received this evidence on 11/21/05. Item FL would be in one sealed paper bag containing a 22-inch caliber bullet, Exhibit 11. Well, wait a minute. They don't even find FL until March in the garage at Stephen Avery's home, I believe on March 2nd. So how is it that the Wisconsin Crime Lab had this evidence on 11/21/05 before it's found? Not making sense here. You're discrediting your own reports, people. It should be noted the Wisconsin State Crime Lab had received this evidence on 11/21/05. What evidence are they talking about? The evidence that 11 out of 16 original land grooves impressions on the right-handed twist matched item FL? Okay, you guys. Page 755. Take a deep breath. Relax, because it's about to get ugly. And there's an email from attorney Lynn Kaczynski that is sent to Mark and Fassbender, or Wiegert and Fassbender. Lynn Kaczynski is this crappy lawyer of Brendan's, and this is how crappy. He admits that they are going to be interviewing him. He admits knowing that it's regarding the offenses that Brendan's charged with. He is also stating that he doesn't have any problem letting them interview Brendan alone without any representation. He's talking about Lynn Kaczynski. Lynn Kaczynski is talking about Michael Kelly being available to brief the two investigators. Now, Michael Kelly would have at this point already had Brendan rewrite his statement when Brendan wrote the first additional statement about how he just got home from school, played video games, ate some pizza or whatever, and then went back to video games, never left the freaking house. And that was it? No. Mike O'Kelly decided that wasn't good enough and basically told Brendan that if he didn't correct the statement to align it with what was being established, that Brendan would go to jail for over 90 years. So Mike O'Kelly actually had that report where he made Brendan write a new version. And I believe that is being given to the investigators prior to this interview. And I think that's what Brendan reads rather than makes his own statement. Because Brendan, he only answers in very, very short sentence. He never carries on for paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. He's just not shown in the past that that's the way that he talks. So when we see two full large paragraphs from Brendan's statement that Brendan's reading, is what I think is going on, is that he's reading the statement that Michael Kelly has made him write. But listen to this. Oh, yeah, he does say that he gave copies of his work product to the interviewers. So that's right there, you know. This is where Lynn Kaczynski should be brought up on charges, in my personal opinion. He states, I understand the interview will eventually be disclosed to Steven Avery's attorneys. I would request that I be notified prior to that. Right? Really? Because he wants to have an in-depth discussion with Brendan. Needless to say, this development will not be disclosed to anyone, particularly Avery's relatives, such as his mother. Now, why is a lawyer working with the prosecution and the investigators like this? If we had lawyers like this, we'd all be wrongfully convicted. It also says, I've also requested that Brendan also not disclose it to anyone as well. So the lawyer, everybody's saying, Brendan, trust your lawyer. Trust your lawyer. Do what your lawyer says. Be a good boy. What does his lawyer do? Throws him under the bus. So when we get down here, they are saying that, let's get past the Miranda rights stuff. Yep. Brendan doesn't even know what any of that means. Okay, right here with Fassbender on page 759. Okay, we urge you to, talk to us, tell us, and he says, Mark and I both know probably some of the areas well. We'll obviously have an opportunity to look at the evidence, and we're familiar with the evidence. And your last statement, you may want to address it. It doesn't fit the evidence. That's what he's saying. So then Brendan makes this statement. I would love to see how well this represents what Brendan had to write to appease Michael Kelly, because Brendan doesn't make this kind of statement ever before in this case. He just simply does not add all details together. It appears as though it's something he's reading. That's my personal opinion. But then he goes on, and what about the truck, Wiegert says. And Brendan says, I never seen it. He says, what do you mean you never seen it, Brendan? I never seen it that day. Nope. What does Wiegert do? All right, Brendan, let's go back through it. Why? He's got to get Brendan on board that even if Brendan didn't see the bus, he's got to say, or the Teresa Halbach's vehicle, he's got to say that he did. And they've got to get him to say it. So they're going to start him over. But what's interesting is he was talking to him about wrestling and watching a program right up here. He says, wasn't a movie that I saw. It was wrestling. I only got to watch 15 minutes. Wiegert says, how come? Brendan says, because it ended at 9 o'clock and we got done at 8:45 almost. Who's we? Do you think it might have been Fassbender and Wiegert doing a little visit ahead of time that had him done there? Who's we? We got done at 8:45 almost. Oh, okay, pause. Big wrestling fan? Yeah. All right, guys, that's our review. Get ready. We're about to dive into 2 weeks worth of the coercion of Brendan Dassey, but we owe him the respect to do so. And we are starting to find out that Wiegert and Fassbender not only are guiding Brendan in everything to say, but they're having prior meetings with Brendan before it goes on record. And that is illegal. And why is Kaczynski not being brought up on charges on this? Seriously. Making sure nobody knows that Fassbender and Wiegert are going to meet with Brendan. And telling Brendan, yeah, go ahead and meet with them. Hey, I'll have Michael Kelly go and meet him ahead of time and give him the report. Please. I have a hard time even saying Lynn Kaczynski's name, and not because it's hard to pronounce, but because it disgusts me. He absolutely threw Brendan away. He wasn't a lawyer to Brendan. He was a mole for the state. And he's the one that is allowing Mike O'Kelly involvement in this case. Remember how Mike did Brendan? Making him rewrite the statement and telling him he's going to go to prison for 90 years. How does that feel when you're 16? You give a true statement. They say, you want to go to jail for 90 years, or you can tell it our way. Yeah. And Lynn Kaczynski, especially not telling the family that the investigators are re-investigating Brendan. That's his own lawyer. Well, nothing we can do about it right now on that part, but we can expose it. And thank you for doing that. Thank you for bringing public awareness to this, and thank you for your support. Have a wonderful day.